Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ilaria Leone, and I will talk today about content creation and engagement. Before starting with the presentation, I will say something about me. So I work, as Olivia said, I work for content for May.com as a content production manager and be working as a social media manager for them. And I also do consultancy on the side for digital content and social media. So what we will discuss today, we will go through content creation, visual signature storytelling, and then we will talk about user-generated content, post-engagement, and planning and measurement. I really hope at the end of today you can go away with some really nice tips you can bring with you a bit more confident with your social media channels. So let's start really quickly. So when we talk about content creation, before doing anything, it's better to have clear which are your objectives. So not only what you want to achieve, but also knowing really well who is your target audience, what he does, where he looks for information, also which device your target audience is using. Be aware that since last year, the mobile usage has been overtaking the desktop usage, which has been changing the way brands are talking about their brands online. In terms of mobile usage, it's really important to say that the content needs to be responsive, and also the fruitability of the content is absolutely different compared for desktop content. In terms of social media, you need to know also where your target audience is looking for information, which social media is using day by day. For example, maybe is on Facebook, but perhaps you can find part of your target or potential customer also on channels like Pinterest or Instagram. So it's really important to know exactly where your target audience is in terms of social media channels. As much as important where your target audience is looking for information. Like back in the day, we know our target audience goes on Google and search for tips to do anything or how to improve anything. But also now there are other channels, also social media channels, where your customer can potentially look for those information, and you need to be aware of this. And at the end, which is as much as important, you need to know which are your goals. So for example, you want to increase the number of your likes, you want to increase the number of engagement in your page. For example, you have already a big number of likes on your page, but you want to make sure that your page shows lots of engagement with your users. So once you have done that, then you follow your step of content creation. What does it mean? So when we start a process of content creation, first of all, we need to make sure we do some research. We do research of ideas. We look for inspiration. We know exactly what we want to do. Once this process is over, we will see after how this process works and how we can enrich this process. We need to decide which content we want to do and decide which is the story. Having a story is really important. What you want to say to your customer, why your customer should use your content, why your customer should share from you, which is the benefit that your customer will have from your content. Once you have done your story, you are really clear with what you want to say in terms of content. Then you plan your channels and you decide which format your content needs to be. So it can be photos, it can be like videos, can be GIF. There are different formats you can use nowadays to reach your audience. I will say also infographics, whatever you want to use. This is really important to establish everything at the beginning before starting with your brief. And also at the end, when you have done your content, when you have been sharing your content on your social media platform, definitely is important to measure your result. The measurement of your results are really important also because they give you an understanding of how your customer audience react to your content, and giving you also an understanding of how you need to measure for the future. And whenever you start your process again, then you have more information in terms of measurement, in terms of what your target audience does. So generating content ideas, what we were saying before, when we look for information, we need to make sure we know everything about your customer. We need to know who our followers are, our influencer and advocates. I put like their design fans because this is what we do in Made. We look at what our design audience is doing, and also every other customer, potential customers that we have, we potentially want to reach. In terms of social media, emails, blog, these are all the channels that you need to look at whenever you want to build the content. You need to make sure all your social media and all your channels are really in line with everything you wanted to produce, so your content can be recycled a bit everywhere. And also it's really important to know your competitors, what your competitors are doing, and be really aware of trends. Trends we will see after, they're really important to give to your customer engaging content they can be familiar with and react to. And now let's move to visual storytelling and visual signature. So let's get a bit more visual. I put Made.com as an example, but I think there are many brands that do that. Whenever we start with a visual signature, we know brand identity, but we don't really are aware of what a visual signature is sometimes. The brand, the logo, the colors, everything in each of your platform needs to be aligned. So making sure whenever you're launching a campaign, you launch a piece of content, everything breathes that piece of content. So everything is in your website, needs to mirror your social media pages. So your customer in each platform can relate with his own content. Also, it's important to create a visual storytelling. So everyone knows what storytelling is, right? We need to tell a story. What is visual storytelling, though? We need to make sure that our pictures, our images, our videos are telling a story itself. Lots of people don't read your post. So the copy sometimes is pretty much unnecessary. But lots of people, especially in the content era, engage with images quite a lot. The more emotional, interesting, inspiring those images are, and high-end quality images are, then your customer will engage much more with you. So I've put some examples of what we have done in Made, so like how to tell a story. For example, this is one of our customers. There is also an interior trendsetter. And for example, some nice inspirational image from Instagram, like a bed with a breakfast. So this is something your customer can relate to, and definitely it will drive some engagement in your page. In terms of trend, as much as important, trends are the future that is coming in the market. So talking about trends and upcoming things, of course, here I have some interior trends, but the trends you can talk about, it really depend on your business, and there are many things you can say to your user. In terms of trends, it's really important to tell your customer in advance what is coming, and it's a big opportunity for you to create content and making sure your customer can relate to them. So for example, in Made recently we have done like a millennial pink. We have seen an increasing interest in metallics like brass or copper, and also marble obsession has been recently everywhere. So of course we try to make sure that we cover all these trends in every different platform, like in Pinterest, having like a nice board where you can inspire your customer. Of course, everything breathes the color. So we talk about metallics, but there are like pink references. And there is also another big trend, that is wallpaper and indoor plants. Of course, this is pictures that we relate to because it's what we want to talk about. And now let's move quickly to user-generated content. So who is familiar with what user-generated content are? How many of you? Raise your hands, please. Okay, so I will tell for everyone what user-generated content are. So user-generated content are a piece of content that are crafted from your customer. So maybe many of you are familiar with competition, Facebook competition. So when we ask to a customer to tell, for example, to send us a picture, to tell us a story, and we say, please send us a picture, add a hashtag, and you have a chance to win £100. This is an example, so this is the more familiar example. What happened when we ask to our customer to do that? We create lots of content that we don't produce and we get from our customers. So it's like the benefit is really high because we create engagement with them and also we receive lots of content and like we can recycle in the future on our platforms. So contest and competition are some of the content that you can produce with your user, but there are lots of opportunity that are like less conventional and you can exercise with your brand. So for example, customer surveys and taking the stories of your customer and like turn it into brand stories. There's something is an exercise that I really suggest because you take a story from your customer that potentially will become your brand advocate, and then you tell a story and people will relate to this. If you want to improve your relationship with your brand advocates, who are the brand advocates? Are simply customers, they're really fan of your brands, and so they advocate for you. Although you don't know, they talk about your brand. You build this relationship with them, and for example, you involve them in building creative tips for you or asking them expert Q&A. And of course, this is a piece of content. You can run this piece of content everywhere you want, from YouTube to your Facebook page, etc. Then you will decide the format, but it's really important to understand what you want to do. And in terms of influencer, like hashtag campaigns, some of them are really familiar, and guest pin boards. So for example, not sure how many of you knows Pinterest, but in Pinterest you can create boards and you can add people to contribute to your board. So for example, you can invite one of your key influencer and say, can you help me to create a really nice inspirational board? We can work together. And so in the meantime, you create some user-generated content. You have a really high addition to your brand. You create a really link with your brand in terms of powerful content, and also you build a relationship with your influencers. So here, like I put also the benefit of everything you do in terms of user-generated content. Feel free, I will send a slide if you want later. But in terms of, there is a benefit in terms of engagement, but also the benefits you can have. As you can see, there are many. Also, there is a high level of SEO, search engine optimization, when we do operations like this, because Google loves to have this kind of user-generated content. They will promote you if you do it. And of course, the engagement and increase of your followers is really, really high. I've also added here some user-generated content that we created. We made, of course, we took some picture from our customer and we did some nice, engaging posts, but also we launched a few years ago Made Unboxed, which is kind of the future of user-generated content. Our customer can go in this community, it's a proper community. They can log in, they can create their own profile, they can upload their own images. This tool is becoming really high popular because you can have lots of high-end pictures from our customers, but also customer engage with themselves. So we slowly by slowly we build a brand advocates community inside our own tool, which is linked to our website. And it's a great tool. If you want, I can show you later. And it's really interesting how build a relationship with your users in this platform. So, and now let's go into user engagement. So day to day, what we do to increase the engagement of our audience. So how many of you, for example, sometimes have been thinking, I don't know what to do now, or for example, I've been writing a post and has been successful and I don't know why. So I've tried to put some tips that you can bring with you where you know what to do in any case. So first of all, this is one of the rules that in the social media environment we really use, and it's called the rule of third. So what's this rule about? We don't, in the content era, we don't talk about our brand every time, like every day. We don't broadcast about our brand anymore. We make sure we promote our brand only 1/3 of the time. The rest 2/3 of the time, we also interact and socializing with our audience, and also we make sure to share as much as possible useful link and resources, survey data that our customer can relate to. And this is really interesting tool as well, because it's like it links for what we were saying before about influencers. So in this way, you can share easy content from your influencers and also enrich your page. You need to give to your customer a reason why they need to follow you. They're not just going to be in love with your brands. They want to make sure that your brand is also useful content, is also a useful platform for information. This is a nice study that I've seen recently, and I wanted to share with you about the length of Facebook posts. So what this study says, really quickly, the engagement in terms of like and comments is quite related to the length of the post that you're publishing in terms of copy. The shorter, the better. So the short is the post, the better will be the result. So the 23% of engagement is like in the area between 70 characters and 150 characters, which means don't waste time to write long posts, because people don't read. As we were saying before, people are looking for information and people are looking for nice images and they interact with them. It's really straightforward, but sometimes, for example, we spend time thinking about what we need to write, but for example, then we add like a really low quality picture, and clearly then the engagement varies and we don't know why. Also, another interesting study says that, do we need to ask a question to our customer when we do a post? Do we need to or use a statement? So ideally, depends what you want to achieve. If you want more comments, definitely a question has demonstrated higher performance. In terms of likes, definitely it's better to write a statement. And also this is really interesting study about which question are giving you more results. So we have like should, would, which, they have better results compared to question like why and how. So quickly now let's move to planning and measurement. Once you decide which content you want, then you need to go in the direction of planning and make sure you plan meticulously. And you select your channel meticulously. So all the social media channels are quite different, and every channel is good for a different usage. So Twitter definitely is for quick and immediate interactions. There are you have only 140 characters, so you cannot go over than that. It's really good for building relationship with your influencers again. For example, you can add there list of people that you want to follow and talk just with them as well. Facebook is with what we say the living room of social media, where we share everything about brand content, we promote events, and we launch new campaigns. Pinterest is definitely the visual channels, and it's really good, as we were saying before, if you are really familiar with trends, especially like interior trends, lifestyle trends, fashion trends. Instagram is one of the upcoming channels. Apparently, most of the conversation are slowly moving from Facebook to Instagram, which is kind of sad for Mark Zuckerberg. But brand building and great visual stories are upcoming and are really important in these channels. And then YouTube. YouTube is the channel of entertainment. So make sure if you want to do something like how-to content and explain your customer how to do something, making sure you can build also some nice inspiring video content that can be on your Facebook page, but also on our YouTube channels. And definitely, if you have time and if you have resources to dedicate, definitely open your blog, because it will improve your organic search and it will help you to create high quality content where people can land after going on your social media page. So they can, if they want to have a deep dive in your content, they can go to your blog. So this is an example of a planning, editorial calendar, if we want to call it. It's really simple. It tells you per day what we need to tweet, what you need to publish. So it's a really interesting tool because you can track at the top, and I really suggest you to do, especially if you want to launch a campaign or you want to run a big piece of content, to write and fill at the beginning with key dates and promotions, and then allocate your tweets, allocate your content. It's really interesting, and also it helps you quite a lot because you don't want to overwhelm your customer with all content all in once, and then you have like you spread your content in a way. And finally, how you measure your result. We said at the beginning, measuring is really important to start your process of researching ideas again. But how we measure? I personally suggest a few tools that you can interact with and are really simple. One of them is HotSuite. HotSuite, there is a free basic standard option when you register, where you can have lots of data about your customers. You can create some really nice dashboard in case you do hashtag campaigns and stuff. So you can definitely have a proper understanding of what's happening in the market, who is talking about you. And if someone is tagging you, it helps you to make sure that you don't lose any of your notification or your socials. And also Sprout. Sprout is really interesting social media tool because it helps, it gives a deep dive also in social media like Instagram, where the engagement tool, like all the platform where we look for information, is no high standard. So for example, when we go on the information of Instagram, we have some few data, but we don't have lots of information. So definitely Sprout can help you with that. And in terms of if you want to do user-generated content, definitely Sprout is really good for this as well. And once you have measured your result, making sure you analyze your result non-one-off. So whatever you do, give another chance to your content. So for example, the reason why a content has been not performing because maybe you posted in the wrong time of the day. So give, for example, to evergreen content another chance. Not make assumptions so quickly. Of course, monitor everything, but give content another chance. So time is up. Hope is everything for today. I will just say that this is my private email if you want any more information and everything, and I will be happy to reply to you through everything.